You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. I'm here just for a quick short show now to give you a preview for week 2 in the NBA to help you for your weekly changes leagues, to help you for your daily changes leagues as well. Michael Bolton.
Let's get to it.
Of course, I'll be back later in the day to recap Sunday's action and preview Monday's games as well. But this is looking at week 2 in the NBA, our first full week in the league. And a bit of an unbalanced schedule to begin the week. 11 games on Monday, 3 games Tuesday, 11 games Wednesday, and 3 games Thursday. And then we end out with a flat end of the week. 8 on Friday, 8 on Saturday, and 6 on Sunday. So we do have quite a few streaming games this week. Monday, no. We can't really stream guys in. Wednesday with 11 games, no. But the other 5 days of the week, Tuesday, prime streamer. Thursday, great, 3 games. Stream your shit out of it. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8, 8, and 6. In general, in 90% of cases, 95% of cases, you will be able to add a player off the waiver wire and you will have 1, maybe 2 active spots available on that Friday, Saturday, 8-game situation, and be able to add them in. So looking for the streamers. And now, last week we only had a couple of days of streaming, 3 days. With 5 days, if you've only got 4 waiver adds for the week, you have to prioritize where you're adding guys. You have to structure who you're adding. You have to look for those back-to-backs and pseudo back-to-backs. A team that plays Tuesday, Thursday, adding a guy for Tuesday, getting 2 games out of 1 is fantastic. The Friday, Saturday back-to-back is fantastic as well. There's no Saturday, Sunday back-to-back, so you've got to maximize those games played per waiver acquisition early in the week on the Tuesday, Thursday, the Thursday, Friday, or the Friday, Saturday in those pseudo back-to-back or actual back-to-back situations, and then just stream for categorical needs on the Sunday. There are 5 teams this week who have 3 quality games, meaning that you can use those guys on the majority of those open days. We've got the San Antonio Spurs, the Denver Nuggets, the Lakers, the Mavericks, and the Heat. All of those teams have 3 quality games this week, meaning they play on 3 of those 5 low-volume days this week in the NBA. If we look at the schedule as a whole, we've probably got an even split between 4 games and 3 games. The Spurs, the Cavs, the Bulls, Pacers, Pistons, Knicks, Jazz, Nuggets, Warriors, Clippers, Kings, Bucks, Magic, and Rockets. All of those teams play 4 games. Those 2 that I mentioned before, the Nuggets and the Spurs, have 3 quality games. Everybody else has 2 quality games. Then you have the teams that have 3 games, the Hornets, the Suns, the Thunder, Pelicans, Nets, Lakers, Raptors, Sixers, Blazers, Heat, Mavericks, and Hawks. They all have 3 games, but there's quite a big difference. You look at someone like the Hornets, the Suns, and the Thunder, they play 3 games, and only 1 of those is a quality game. The Lakers, the Heat, the Mavericks, all 3 of their games are quality games. So if you're looking at them on a vacuum and go, well, the Suns play 3 games, the Lakers play 3 games, that's fine. But in a daily changes league, that Lakers guy that you add, whether it's some piece of crap like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for those of you playing in a 120-team league, you could add him and use him in all 3 of those games. You add someone off the Suns, whether it's Frank Kaminsky, maybe not a great example because he's playing so well, or Bainesy, you might get 1 game out of that guy versus the 3 games you get from JaVale from the Lakers. Or whether it's Rondo who's back, which I'm not sure he's going to be. However, it runs with these teams. That is quite a big difference. So you've got a big spread of 1-game quality teams up to 3-game quality teams. And then we have 4 teams this week that only play the 2 games. The Boston Celtics, the Wizards, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Grizzlies, they play 2 games, but both of those games are on the low-volume days. So the 2 games from the Grizzlies, adding a Grizzlies free agent, it might be equivalent to adding someone from the Knicks as a free agent who play 4 games, but only 2 of them are on low-volume days. So you could add a Knicks player. Maybe it's the Fort Kevin Knox because you love torturing yourself. You could get the 2 games out of him. It says 4 games. Knicks, that's great. 4 games of Kevin Knox is better than 2 games of Brandon Clark, but it's not actually 4 games of Kevin Knox. It's 2 games versus 2 games for the Grizzlies. So that is important. Every team plays at least one quality game this week as well. And that's super important when trying to determine your streaming strategy. So if we're looking at our streaming strategy, again, we're not going to be able to get guys in on the Monday or the Wednesday to play for our team. So we're targeting the other days. So I think starting off with a Denver ad. As Denver play on the Tuesday and Thursday, you can get 2 games out of one there. So Farton, Will Barton, if he is there, Jeremy Grant, Paul Millsap, if these guys are on the wire, Malik Beasley, Monty Morris, we'll know that Jokic and Murray and Gaz Harris, he might have been dropped. It's a great way to get him back onto your team. I wouldn't have dropped him, even though it hasn't been a great start. 4 steals in 2 games for Gaz has been pretty nice though. In fact, it's been nice, Gary. But those steals have been impressive there. But to start off with the Nuggets is a good way to start this week. You got the Miami Heat, which you can look at to start this week. Also, they have 2 games against the Hawks on the Tuesday, Thursday, meaning also the Hawks players are great to stream. So your Miami, you've got Kendrick Nunn, you've got Tyler Hero. You would have had Derek Jones, but he's hurt at the moment. Khalil Olynyk, Myers Leonard, these guys putting up some strong numbers. Now, Jim Butler will be back. We don't know how that's going to impact guys like Nunn and Hero. It's going to have some sort of an impact. Do they incorporate Waiters into the rotation? Probably not. Do they incorporate James Johnson? Probably not. But there are some other options now for Miami that could impact. Actually, Johnson may come in now that he's back from his conditioning hiatus with Jones hurt. But there are some options there. And then for the Hawks, Jabari Parker, if you're looking for scoring. Kevin Vanderpants Herter, who's had 9 assists in 2 games. DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, if you're looking to have the worst field goal percentage possible. I would say Bruno Fernando, but he just hurt his ankle. Alex Len, if he was dropped. It's a good start to the week for these guys to get them in. Then Wednesday, we've got the 11 games. So that's the Tuesday, Thursday, back-to-back. And then what we want to look at is where we stream these other guys. Now, we can look at Thursday, Friday type of games because Friday's just got the 8 games. So the Spurs have a back-to-back Thursday, Friday. There's a good ad with those guys there. That is the only team that has the Thursday, Friday back-to-back. So then the other ads we can look at, do we have Thursday, Saturday type scenarios? Well, the Nuggets, they play Tuesday, they play Thursday, then they play Saturday. So one ad from a Nuggets player gives you 3 quality games in those first 4 days of the low volume days. So they're a strong option there to have a look at as well. The other teams, the Pelicans have the Thursday, Saturday combination also. That's the other team that has that group. And then we look for Friday, Saturday back-to-backs. The Pistons have that there. The Duck, Luke Kennard. Maybe it's Markieff Morris you want to take a look at. Derrick Rose, who's shooting unbelievably at the moment or scoring unbelievably. There's some good value in him at that point. You've got the Warriors who, at the time of me recording, are getting their asses kicked by the Thunder. But you might be able to get some value. Maybe it's an Eric Pascal. Maybe someone like Jordan Poole floats your boat. But he shouldn't, but he might. The Bucks and the Magic also have that Friday, Saturday back-to-back there also. So guys like Kyle Korver for 3s for the Bucks. The Magic, Markelle Fultz, who should probably be held in all 12-team leagues. He's showing some good value. Terry Ross, if he was dropped, it's an opportune time to add him back in. The Chief Al Farouk Aminu.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Maybe you need some blocks and Mo Bamba can come in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So they're a great option there. And then you've got the Nets. So you've got the artist formerly known as Torian Prince. They have the Friday, Saturday back-to-back. You could look at him. Smoking Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jarrett Allen and DeAndre Jordan. Now, I'm not a big DeAndre Jordan fan for 12-team leagues, but getting those 2 games there is really key. Because as I mentioned, on the Saturday, Sunday, there is no back-to-back combination for those guys. So on the Sunday, all you're looking to stream is a guy in to win those categories that you need. Now, again, we're still in the early parts of the season, so I'm not just dropping guys. I'm not looking at someone and go, shit, Satoransky, you've got to go. I'm dropping Otto Porter. People asking me, do I drop Justice Winslow? Not, God, no, you don't. Just to eke out one extra win. I'm holding Satoransky. I'm definitely holding Porter, even though that situation's really, really weird. Of course I'm holding Justice Winslow, and I'm not dropping them to eke out one game to add Markieff Morris because they got a Friday, Saturday back-to-back with the Pistons. So, yeah, balancing that sort of stuff. But if you've got that dedicated streamer spot already, cycling through that, this is the way to go about it for this week. I want to look at some players who I think are under-rostered for this week. And it is important to have a look whether you can add them into your leagues, whether it's a weekly lock league or a daily changes league. Guys that we need to have a look at. I'm looking at players who are under 50% rostered. The Duck, Luke Kennard, Darius Garland, 2 young guards who play 4 games this week with 2 quality games apiece. Both of those guys have a place in weekly lineup leagues, I believe, this week. Tristan Thompson, who's on fire. I think he's a must-add player across all 12-team leagues, and his week shakes out pretty well. Interesting spot here for PJ Tucker, who's rostered in under 40% of Yahoo leagues. He started off the season red hot. That won't continue, but again, we're getting the 4 games from him this week. Flaming Mo Harkless, Lord Alfred Payton, Marcus Morris in weekly leagues. 4 games for all of those guys, 2 quality games for all of those guys as well. Again, when we're talking daily changes, there are things we need to pay attention to. Chetty Osman, who was a dreadful in the Cavs game across the weekend, he's an option. Kobe White is an option here. Landry Shamet with 4 games this week is another guy we can look at who all project probably to be top 100 players over the course of this week. Delon Wright, if he was dropped, he's an ad. Bryn Forbes, Nemanja Bjelica, those guys with 4 games. Now, Forbes especially has 3 quality games, so not only can you look to lock him in a weekly changes league, but as a daily changes option, he's really, really important this week also. Chris Dunn can have some value as a defensive steals and blocks type of specialist, more steals. Royce O'Neal, Danny House. There's quite a few guys that we could be looking at here who have some interesting value for the week ahead. Now, with those teams, back to what we talked about earlier, that only played 2 games, some of these guys that you would think are absolute staples on your team, they may not be weekly lock guys. Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, the Tank, Tom Bryant, Ja Morant, Jeff Teague, Andy Wiggins is definitely not a lock start type of a guy. Someone like Jarrett Culver, who you may have hoped for some upside, he's like their 9th man at the moment. Pretty hard to hold on to someone like him. But Hayward, Tatum, Bryant, Morant, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Jeff Teague, maybe even Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. These might not be guys with only 2 games this week that you look to lock into your lineups. Jonas Valanciunas, similarly for the Grizzlies, and pretty much anyone else, anyone on that Grizzlies team is not a guy that you should be really getting too excited about for the week ahead with just 2 games. Beal is a guy you put in. Karl Anthony Towns is a guy you put in. I'm not sure about even Kemba Walker. He might not be in your best 10 players for this week with only 2 games. Getting a guy like, for example, so Walker plays the 2 games, but you get 4 games of Bojan Bogdanovic. That's a guy that I would prefer there. 4 games of Marcus Morris, I'd probably prefer that to Kemba Walker, to be fair. So there are plenty of guys that on the surface, you go, no way would I look at Kobe White over Kemba Walker, but double the games, it is something to at least pay attention to. You can have a look at all our weekly projections over on Basketball Monster for all this stuff as well. That'll do it for my Week 2 preview. I'll be back later in the day to recap all of Sunday's action, talk about what went on there, more in-depth discussion on the players, and then previewing a massive 11-game slate for Monday for DFS, and there's some seasonal value in that as well. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.